what is the difference between validation and love?
Well, I feel like love is more about acceptance of yourself and the people you do love. I mean, to truly love someone is accepting who they are, both for their strengths and their weaknesses. And it's when you really love their weaknesses, you don't necessarily have to accept their weaknesses all the time. You can always challenge the people you love to become a better person. But at the end of the day, you got to go to a point where you accept them for everything that they are. And, not to sound cheesy or cliche, but that starts with yourself, Validation is almost it's quite honestly, it seems like the literal opposite when I think about it. It's like, it's that feeling of needing outside praise, that recognition and needing that to feel enough, rather than just knowing that you are. And so when you're chasing validation relationships, you're suggesting that and I felt that when I was younger. I felt like I'm not going to be a complete person until I find that right person.
Really?
My partner, and until then.
Why did you feel that?
I think it was because again, for as great as my parents were, I think, between seeing their love and getting caught up in all the rom-coms and the romance of love, I think I just kind of had a misconstrued. I felt like it was so important. You got to find that person and start a family and things like that. That I thought to myself, well, until I find that, I'm not a finished product.
Interesting.
And so when I started looking for love, then it became, looking for the person who I thought made me, a better person. And people will say that too. It's like, what are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for someone to make me a better person. Well, I learned that was not what you should be looking for. I hope everyone gets to find someone like I feel like I found, someone that helps you become your best version of yourself, but no one's going to make you a better person.
Right. That's a lot of responsibility and weight.
A lot of weight, yeah. And, how do they look next to you and things like that, and all those things that at the end of the day don't really matter. And so love is, again, just acceptance of what you have and the people you're with, and loving your person for their strengths and their weaknesses. And, I hope I answered your question.
It was beautiful, yeah. I'm curious, for those that, I'm not a big reality TV guy. Maybe I watch an episode here and there of stuff, whatever that pops on the TV, but for those that know you from the Bachelorette world, the Bachelor world, and they saw your behaviors then versus where you are now, what would you say was a thing that allowed you to make a switch internally to stop seeking validation, leading with your ego in a toxic way, into transforming that into acceptance, personal growth, and attracting someone that seems like a very healthy, conscious relationship versus things that were fighting for something to try to make them work?
Well, I always kind of tell, when people always ask me, like, what did I learn on the show and things like that, a lot of people attribute the growth I've learned over life to being on the show. And I don't really see that to be the case, because a lot of my relationship struggles happened in my 20s. And I was cheated on after a very brief engagement, or found out I was being cheated on after getting engaged. And that really, at the time, really, it broke me, Yeah, I mean.
How long were you in the relationship for?
A year and a half, close to 2 years. And now I look at it as one of the most pivotal moments of my life. That's when I learned about my ego and things like that, and started really growing up. And because I think when it happened, there's a lot of shame around being cheated on. And I was embarrassed, and, people ask me, it's like, how'd you guys break up? Like, oh, it just didn't work out. It really broke me to the point where, I kind of self-isolated for a while. I didn't want to get out and hang out with my friends and things like that. And so, I actually read a book called The Power of Intentions by Dr. Wayne Dwyer. I don't know if you've heard of him, but it really, it really kind of made me think about just my actions, how I see the world, how I interpreted feeling wrong, my ego, where my thoughts and energy was going. A lot of that in terms of, I learned just the power of intentions in terms of your energy is not infinite. Your thoughts, I used to feel like I couldn't control my thoughts. I remember my first girlfriend before the one that cheated on me. We met at 18 and we broke up several times, and it was a really hard breakup, and I was just devastated, and she was dating some other guy, and I was pouting for like 3, 4, 5 months or something.
Been there.
My mom was the empathetic one, always like in a weird way. I would call her every morning and we'd talk, and almost to the point where she kind of liked it. My dad one day was like, you got to get over this, man. And I remember saying to him, and I was dead serious. I was like, Dad, I have a better chance of levitating than getting over that. And I was serious,
Wow.
and I just was so fixated. Again, that was that martyr. And I think back about it now, I was like proud of myself almost for like holding on to that pain, and I learned now sometimes when people have a hard time getting over relationships, it's because it's like they just don't want to let go. Sometimes the pain is all you have left of the relationship, you don't want to forget about the pain because that's the last thing you have to hold on to.
Wow.
And I really held on to that
For a
pain.
long time, yeah.
Yeah.
When did you actually finally let go?
I was so like, it really made me grow up, that fast forward to getting cheated on, and I had to change how I thought. And I almost like to survive, because I think I was so fixated on finding love and a certain type of love that it consumed me. It really did. I mean, I lost friends for a period of time, because I just, no one understood my pain or my plight or what I was sacrificing and all those things. And I kind of had to get over myself, And then I had a 2.5-year relationship with, a really wonderful person, but just we weren't right fit.
This is like your mid to late 20s now?
Mid to late 20s, yeah. Then I was single for a while and ended up going on The Bachelor.